So today we're going to talk about emotions. Why are we going to talk about emotions? Rough day yesterday. Very, very rough. And it was an important reminder, really, because I remember back when I was in AA, they had a saying that went something like, "Feelings are not reality." And I just remember how ridiculous of a statement that seemed to me at the time, and still does, because feelings are reality. They have it completely backwards. Being able to be honest with feelings that comprises the bulk of life. And then, of course, all of the manipulations. That's how humans have been controlled this entire time. That's how all the wars have gotten off the ground. That's how divide and conquer comes about. It doesn't come about through persuading people logically. It's always emotions. It's only emotions. If you were to only focus on one thing in your life, if you're having issues in your life, and you only focused on emotions and finding out what exactly they are within your own body and how they tie to the things happening around you, you would figure your life out really quickly if you were actually able to dive into those emotions and find out what they are. I've told this story before, but I'm going to say it again because it's important and pertinent to this discussion. When I was still friends with this friend, he was getting into sales. And he would tell me about the techniques. Now, he didn't tell me this technique, I told him this technique, but when I was considering doing sales myself, I was listening to some, the top sales guys talk about what they do and how they do it. And one of these guys said something that I'll never forget about sales, because it's not just sales, it's all of life. And he said when you're trying to get somebody to buy something, you appeal to their emotions. You get them to feel like they need it or want it, and then once they sign the thing, if it turns out later that they didn't, it's not a great fit, then the mind comes in and rationalizes why they should have bought it. Because people are always wanting to be right. For some reason, we've been given this notion that being intellectually right is the most important thing in the realm or in the world. So, to get a sale, you cater to their emotions. You make them feel. You paint a picture that makes them feel like it's a really great and perfect thing for them at this time. And then afterwards, you can't lose because they're going to rationalize it even if they find out later that they feel they didn't want it. He said you never ever sell something on on its statistical aspects. You never sell something on its longevity. You hype it up, basically. You appeal to emotions. Emotions make your whole entire worldview. That's why if somebody's depressed, and as far as the numbers in their life, like, is my bank account all right, or even the, you know, am I on the correct life path, is my next week planned out correctly, all of these sort of conceptual trappings of your life. If you are feeling depressed, if you are feeling heavy, low vibration inside, if those external trappings remain exactly the same, and they always do, they usually are when you're feeling sad or upset, that's you will find that the world is painted in depression when you're depressed. So the logic has nothing to do with it. The feelings literally make your worldview. And that's why meditation is important, because if your vibration is kept high, what's happening around you, and again, it's always the caveat of, like, yes, what's happening around you is not so important unless, like, a bear is chasing you, or, you know, someone's about to shoot you in the head or something. Generally speaking, as we move through our lives, we are not having these violent situations happen. That's why it has all come down to a subtle emotional level, and that's why everybody moves on their train tracks, because everyone has been so subtly, emotionally fine-tuned to be cogs that's what they do. But worldviews are painted in emotions. They're not. What's actually happening out there has the smallest amount to do with how someone feels, and how someone feels is the worldview. That's why big events, you know, trauma events, false flag events, that's why when somebody like Matt is talking about or complaining about false flag events, it's emphasizing that fact. Nothing needs to happen for people to have their worldviews do this, you know? Literally, nothing at all needs to happen. A halfway decent story needs to be created, and then there needs to be given emotional hooks that get you to either identify with the hero or identify with the enemy or whatever. You're emotionally involving yourself. So I was reminded of that yesterday, because that happened to me. I became very down and dense, low vibrations, and I know to do this because I learned the technique. Even though when you're down, there's some magnetism to it, and even though you have solutions, you don't necessarily implement them immediately. But I know if I'm feeling like everything sucks, well, guess what? Everything does suck. Like, that's how this life works. So if I'm feeling like everything sucks, and anybody who's depressed, take note of this. First, look first, like, say it out loud to yourself. What has changed in my life to make me feel depressed? Or to make me feel down, or to make me feel sad, or to make me feel like, you know, things aren't going right? I can almost guarantee you, not 100%, but I can almost guarantee you that very little on the outside will have changed. Very little. you say, hey, what has changed? Ask yourself, literally, what has changed? And look at the external. See what has changed. Has your life taken a huge swing one way or the other? And when nearly inevitably you find out that no, nothing has changed. The life is going along basically like it always has. There's not any significant changes. Just by doing this, because we like the logic. Logic soothes us, is really what it is. Intellectualism soothes our very fine-tuned inner senses, our very fine-tuned emotional sides of ourselves. It soothes those. When those get all fiery and wonky, if you tell a nice story to it, it will calm down. So you just tell yourself, you ask yourself the question. You don't have to make up a story, just ask yourself the question. What has changed? And when you see that nothing has changed, then give yourself the permission to stop feeling bad. It's as simple as that. And it's not, the reason it's not easy is because emotions are super incredibly powerful. So I'm not saying it's easy to just simply do that and then all of a sudden you feel like dandelions again. But it does work every single time. And if you put that particular tool in your arsenal, as far as dealing with emotions and really understanding what they are, they're very important. I mean, that's how, emotions are everything. That's the whole story. So, just wanted to share that. I'm sure it's relevant to every single one of you because that's what it is. So, let me know your stories of how your emotions are shaping and honing your life and either making the world a beautiful place or the worst place ever. That's the only thing that makes the world anything, is your emotions. Otherwise, you're a robot. We don't want to be robots, right? Say no to transhumanism.